In this lecture, we are going to modify the source of our attributes. Attributes are a feature for saving data in a block. They allow us to persist data across page refreshes. WordPress offers various options for saving data from within a block. The solution we've developed for our block is functional. However, there's a better way to store attribute data. Attributes support sources. A source refers to the location of where an attribute is saved. Take a look at the following snippet. I've copied the fancy header and paragraph blocks from the page. If you were to copy the fancy header block, you would find the style attribute. For this example, I removed the style attribute to reduce clutter in the example. In a sense, both blocks are similar. They are a basic element with inner content. The biggest difference between them is how an attribute is stored. In our fancy header block, the attribute is saved in the HTML comment. Behind the scenes, WordPress will save an attribute in a JSON object. This object is stored in the HTML comment. If our block gets rendered on the editor, the attributes are extracted from the comment. Most of this process is handled by WordPress. Let's take a look at the paragraph block. Unlike our block, the data is not stored in the comment. Instead, the data is extracted directly from the HTML. If we look back at our block, the same approach can be taken. The value for the content attribute can be found within the text of the h2 tag. But why would we want to do this? We should always consider the file size of our HTML file. Currently, our block is storing the content attribute twice. For a simple block, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Dozens of blocks can be added to a single page, not to mention the blocks for an individual post or page. Technically, our solution works. We're not required to make further changes. However, we should take the time to optimize our solution. There isn't a point in storing the same data twice. Therefore, we are going to tell WordPress to grab the value for the content attribute from the HTML. It does not need to store the value in an HTML comment. We can easily change the source by modifying the block.json file. Open this file in your editor. Inside the object for the content attribute, let's add a new property called source. If we hover our mouse over this property, the schema will provide a great description for this property. It says the following: attribute sources are used to define how attribute values are extracted from saved post content. They provide a mechanism to map from the saved markup to a JavaScript representation of a block. By default, the source will be the HTML comment. We can change the source by setting this property's value to HTML. If we decide to set the source property to HTML, another property must be added called selector. A block can be comprised of multiple HTML elements. WordPress does not know where to find the value for the attributes. The selector property gives us the option of selecting a specific element from our block's template. The value for this property must be a valid CSS selector. We can select elements by their tag names, classes, IDs, or other attributes. Our block is very simple. The content is stored in the h2 tag. That's it. We don't need to make further modifications. Let's try testing our block by refreshing the editor in the browser. The block may or may not work. If it doesn't, you will need to add it in again. Afterward, let's update the page by modifying the block's content. After updating the page, let's copy the block to our clipboard. For your convenience, I pasted the block into a slide. This is what you should see from your clipboard. I've removed the style attribute for readability. Unlike before, the content attribute's value is not stored in the comment. WordPress will be able to extract the value for this attribute from the HTML content. By removing a few characters from the output, the page will load faster. The difference in speed for a single block is negligible. However, it'll make a difference the larger a page is. we should always take the time to optimize the storage of our blocks. We've officially finished our block. Pat yourself on the back. You've created your first block. Let's quickly organize our files in the next lecture.